you can go ahead and take strings and you can split them up into their individual words. So let's go ahead and create a new string. Flight of the navigator. Navigator is equal to I do not leak, you leak. And again, if you don't get this reference, you should go watch the movie from, I think it's also from the 80s, Flight of the Navigator. It's either 80s or 90s. So we can create a string, Flight of the Navigator, and we can go ahead and create a string array of the words from that is equal to Flight of the Navigator dot, and notice that it has split here automatically. It does shift the order of this based off of what it thinks that you may actually want to do. So if you just choose split, then this is going to split this string into its individual words and store it into this string array there. And now we can go ahead and say for each var s in words, we'll go ahead and say console.writeLine s. So this will print out every word from here, one word at a time per line, onto the console. Notice that now we have all of these there. If you want to combine them back together, go ahead and say string back together is equal to string.join, and then you just put what you want it to actually join it back as. So I'm going to go ahead and just say 2 dashes. And so this is going to be the separator. It can be a char, it can be a string, doesn't really matter, either one will work, comma, and then this is going to be what you actually want to join back together. Now, this is an IEnumerable type, and it's values, but just keep in mind that you just need to pass it, say, words. So now if we go ahead and console.writeLine back together, and now if we run this, notice that we get every word out on its own line, and then we get a string which we just rejoin back together with dashes in between it, double dashes. Notice that now we have I dash dash do dash dash not dash dash, so on and so forth. So that is a way that you can take a string, split it up, do something with that, or you can take that string array that you have here, join it back together, and then do something with that string. This is very useful if we want to read data in from a user. So let me go ahead and delete that. And let's go ahead and just say, hey, let's go ahead and read in 2 numbers from the user. Console.writeLine, please enter 2 numbers separated by a space. Now actually I don't want it to put a new line there, so I'm just going to do this. So it's going to have our prompt right at the end here. And so now I want to actually read that in. So when we read in from the console, it's going to read it into a string. It's equal to console.readLine. And so now we're reading that into our input. And that input is going to be a string. So it will look something similar to this, 42 space 15, for instance. And so now all we need to do is we can say string, square brackets, split input is equal to input.split. So now we'll just split that input on the white spaces into this. And now we can go ahead and say int num1 is equal to int.parse split input square brackets 0. And then we can do the same thing with 1, and this is going to be num2. And so now we are splitting this, and now we don't have any error checking or anything. We're just, for now, assuming that whatever is entered is valid. But we're splitting it, and then we're taking each one of those values here, and we're storing it into an integer. And so we can go ahead and do something like console.write line, and we'll just say curly brace num1 plus curly brace num2 is equal to curly brace num1 plus num2, for instance. So now let's go ahead and run this. And please enter two numbers separated by a space, 42, 15. And notice that now we get 42 plus 15 is equal to 57. So that is a easy way that you can read in multiple numbers and into a string, split it, and then say store them into variables, or you can store it into an array, or there's lots and lots of things you can do after you do that.